Moby Dick by Herman Melville. In the gray chill of a New Bedford winter, a wanderer named Ishmael felt the pull of the sea. Restless, drawn to adventure and the mysteries of the deep, he resolved to join a whaling voyage. With a few coins in his pocket, he made his way to the bustling port, where the wharves bristled with masts and the air smelled of salt and tar. At the Spooder Inn, a crowded, smoky tavern, Ishmael secured a bed, only to find himself sharing it with Pequod, a tattooed harpooner from the South Seas, whose fearsome appearance belied a gentle, loyal heart. The two struck an unlikely friendship, bound by curiosity and a shared hunger for the unknown. Together, they signed aboard the Pequod, a weathered whaling ship out of Nantucket, commanded by the enigmatic Captain Ahab. The Pequod was a vessel of seasoned oak and iron, its decks scarred from countless voyages. Ishmael and Pequod joined a motley crew. Starbuck, the prudent first mate with a Quaker's calm; Stubb, the jovial second mate fond of his pipe; Flask, the pugnacious third mate, and a host of harpooners and sailors from every corner of the globe. But it was Ahab who cast the longest shadow. Tall, scarred, with a grim countenance and a leg carved from whalebone, he emerged on deck days after the ship sailed, his presence both commanding and unsettling. A jagged scar ran down his face, and his eyes burned with a purpose that made the crew uneasy. Ishmael sensed a darkness in the captain, a weight that seemed to pull the ship toward some unseen fate. As the Pequod cut through the Atlantic, Ahab revealed his true mission. He gathered the crew on deck, his voice like thunder, and spoke of Moby Dick, a white sperm whale of monstrous size and ferocity, known to whalers as a terror of the seas. Years before, Moby Dick had bitten off Ahab's leg, leaving him broken in body and spirit. Now Ahab vowed revenge, his heart consumed by a hatred that bordered on madness. He nailed a gold doubloon to the mast, a prize for the man who first sighted the white whale. The crew, swept up by his fervor, swore to hunt Moby Dick to the ends of the earth, though Starbuck alone protested, warning that vengeance against a beast was blasphemy. Ishmael, torn between awe and dread, felt the ship's course shift from commerce to obsession. The Pequod sailed on, crossing oceans and chasing whales. Ishmael learned the brutal art of whaling, the chase in open boats, the harpoon's deadly arc, the bloody labor of rendering blubber into oil. The crew encountered other ships, each meeting tinged with portent. The Jungfrau begged for oil, the Rosebud carried a foul stench, and the Samuel Enderby bore tales of Moby Dick's wrath, its captain maimed but content to let the whale be. Ahab, however, grew more unhinged with each passing day. He smashed his quadrant, rejecting navigation by the stars, and forged a harpoon tempered with blood, cursing it to pierce the white whale's heart. His madness infected the ship, and strange omens, a squid's ghostly form, a corpse clinging to a whale's back, haunted the crew's dreams. Storms battered the Pequod, and Ahab's obsession deepened. He stood watch at the masthead, scanning the horizon, his whalebone leg tapping a relentless rhythm. Starbuck, ever the voice of reason, pleaded with him to turn back, to spare the crew and seek honest profit. But Ahab, seeing Moby Dick as the embodiment of all malice, refused. He spoke of fate, of a force driving him toward the whale, as if their clash was written in the stars. Ishmael, watching from the shadows, felt the weight of Ahab's words, sensing that the captain's quest was not just for revenge, but for answers to questions too vast for mortal minds. The Pequod entered the Pacific, where the sea seemed to hold its breath. A typhoon struck, setting the ship's masts aglow with St. Elmo's fire. Ahab, defiant, clutched the lightning rod and swore to pursue Moby Dick through hell itself. The crew, now fearful, whispered of mutiny, but none dared challenge the captain. Fedallah, Ahab's shadowy Parsi harpooner, fed his master cryptic prophecies. Ahab would die only after seeing two hearses, one not built by man, and hemp, not steel, would take his life. Ahab, half believing, pressed on, his soul tethered to the white whale. At last, the cry came, "There she blows!" Moby Dick breached the surface, his white hump gleaming like a mountain of snow, his massive form radiating power. The crew launched the whaleboats, Ahab at the helm of his own, his blood-forged harpoon in hand. The first day's chase was chaos. Moby Dick smashed boats with his flukes, sending men into the sea. Ahab's boat was splintered, but he survived, his rage undimmed. That night, he rallied the crew, vowing to fight on. Ishmael, clinging to the Pequod's rail, saw the whale's vast head break the water, its eye seeming to hold a terrible wisdom. On the second day, the hunt resumed. Moby Dick struck again, his jaws snapping a boat in two. Fedallah vanished in the melee, dragged beneath the waves by a tangled harpoon line. Ahab, undeterred, pursued the whale with a fury that seemed to shake the heavens. The Pequod itself joined the chase, its sails taut as it bore down on the whale that night. Starbuck wept for the doomed ship, while Ahab, staring at the sea, saw Fedallah's body lashed to Moby Dick's side by the harpoon line, a hearse not made by man. The prophecy's first part had come true. The third day dawned, and Ahab knew his end was near. Moby Dick rose, his white bulk a specter against the dawn. The whale turned on the Pequod, charging with a force that shattered the ship's hull. Timbers cracked, water poured in, and the crew scrambled for the boats. Ahab, alone in his whaleboat, hurled his harpoon into Moby Dick's side, cursing the whale with his final breath. The line snagged, and Ahab, caught in its coils, was yanked from the boat, his neck snapped by the hemp, the second prophecy fulfilled. Moby Dick dove, dragging Ahab's lifeless body into the depths. The Pequod, gutted, sank in a vortex that swallowed the crew, the boats, and all trace of the ship. Ishmael alone survived, clinging to Queequeg's coffin, which had floated free from the wreck. For a day and a night, he drifted, lost in the vast Pacific, until the Rachel, a whaling ship searching for its own lost crew, found him. Broken, haunted by the Pequod's fate, Ishmael lived to tell the tale of Ahab's doomed quest, of the white whale that defied man's wrath, and of the sea that claimed them all.